pledge of allegiance. Feel free to join us if you want.
Guess we have to.
To the flag of the United States of
America,
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Additions to it. Most of the board members, I do believe, are aware of them, but I want to highlight them. It's item 8E, which is granting permission to pay the regular bills and routine bills through the end of the fiscal year due to our current health issues that we're working through. Item 10A is an MOU between the school district and the Athens area support staff. And then 15A is a suspension request of some board policies so that we can meet electronically and continue business as normal. Those are the additions to what would have been our last week's agenda. So first up, we need to approve the meeting minutes from February 11th and February 18th. If there's no objection, they will stand as they are. Okay, so be it. We have no presentations. We're not going to do that committee report. Craig, you're up.
Craig's on mute.
Right. Craig needs to unmute.
Can't hear Craig.
You're muted.
There we go. Community for their continued patience and understanding, working through this extremely difficult time. I don't think anybody that I know of has ever experienced anything like this similar in their lifetimes. I've never had to close schools. In my 20th year of education, the last time I remember an extended closure, I was actually a high school student and it was a blizzard. So very unusual for all of us. One thing I do know is that this community has rallied together. We continue to support each other. And it's pretty remarkable what this small community does. I want to thank our teachers and staff. They are diligently participating and supporting our students and our families in any way they can during this closure. I thank them for their continued support, their volunteerism, and their generosity. It's remarkable. It's thanked, and I appreciate all of them. We have a lot of questions still unanswered. We're getting a lot of guidance every day. I know the governor said that we would return to school on April 6th, and then they've clarified that it would be April 6th, 7th, and 8th for teachers, April 9th for students. We understand that our calendar starts a break at that time. Once we have a chance to look and modify our calendar, we will let our families know what the calendar will look like. We also know that there are numerous questions about graduation. I don't want to make any commitments to graduation at this time because we're still waiting for more guidance from the governor. I will tell you, we will do everything we can to make sure our seniors graduate and have a graduation, however that may be and however that may look. As we move forward, we're going to have a lot of unknowns. We're going to be trying a lot of new things. It's not the time for criticism, and it's not the time for finger pointing. We need to work together, have patience. If we don't know it, and if we're doing it wrong, we will give you the answer and we'll try to correct it. I think we're heading into some uncharted territory for the next few weeks, possibly months. So I appreciate everybody's patience and understanding. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Hey, Mr. Stage. Mr. Barrett, do you have anything for us? His microphone's muted somehow or other. There you go.
We have a lot of uncharted water here, educationally and legally, and we're trying to sort through that. Things coming out of the state seem to be changing every day as this epidemic gets, I guess, worse. So we'll keep you abreast of anything that pops up as it pops up. So thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barrett. Next up is visitor comments on board action items. I'm going to lean on Tech or whoever. I understand there is a way that the community can ask questions. I just don't know how.
Anybody can, any of the panel, any of the attendees can answer,
Ask questions.
ask questions through their, through the chat.
Or text Greg. Do we know if there's any questions or? Oh, hi Kathy Joe. It says just a test through the chat button. Okay.
I saw on the screen where you could put a question in. I just wanted to see if it worked.
Under Q&A?
Yep.
Okay.
And they can raise their hand if they'd like to ask a question.
Okay.
We'll give it a second. Let's just wait a second.
Okay. Who? Oh,
You want to type in the question? That'd be great.
she can turn it on? Yeah, turn her on. Hello? You said Claire. Blair? Okay. There's a question that popped up on Q&A. This is Junction School Bus. Is there going to be any financial assistance for bus contractors?
I can speak on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Jenkins School Bus. I can tell you right now that we are currently waiting for legislation. There is some legislation at the state level that will include assistance for bus contractors. We'll wait and see if that.
Craig, are you waiting for my question? Can I have any?
I can hear you, Mrs. Wayman.
Oh, I was just testing it to make sure that it was working. I texted Craig and asked him if he wanted me to try to make it work.
Oh, I don't know if they can hear you, but I can hear you.
Oh, well, I can see you and it keeps flashing my name on the screen.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig is on mute.
John,
Okay.
Craig's
Just wanted to
on
respond
mute.
quickly. The Jenkins School Bus, is there going to be any financial assistance for bus contractors? What I can tell Jenkins School Bus Contracting is that there is some legislation at the state level that includes some financial assistance for bus contractors that may get voted on as tonight or any other day early this week. We'll wait and see what happens at the state level, and we will move forward with conversations with them once we have an answer from the state.
Kathy Joe, or somebody had a question for me, or I heard something, I thought.
Well, Mrs. Wayman was on her phone and said that she was wondering if she wanted her question asked, and
Okay.
nobody answered her. So I answered her, and
Okay. Oh, there's
Mrs.
another one.
Wayman, are you there? Do you have a question?
No, we heard Blair,
Okay,
and it was a test from this side.
okay.
Jenkins just responded back through the Q&A. Thank you. Deb
There's a question
Freeman.
in the chat.
Yeah, Deb Freeman in the chat. I just want to thank the board and Mr. Stage for working with the support staff on the MOU. I know that many of us have worked at CHOPS and in delivering food to various sites. Anything we can do during this time, just let us know. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Freeman.
All right. I don't see any more Q&As or chats or anything showing up. So we're going to proceed. Going to do things a little bit differently here tonight to get through the delay and the awkwardness in doing this way. So can I have a motion and a second for items 8, 9, and 10?
I'll make the
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Okay, can you please state your name when you make the motion and a second so we know for records?
Chris Jones making the motion.
Lonnie, second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion that we need to discuss in items 8, 9, or 10 at this time? If there's no objection to them, we will vote to approve them as they are. Christine?
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Steathers,
Yes.
Mrs. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Chersnowski,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes,
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
and, oh, I'm sorry, I missed Mr. Westbrook.
Okay, yes.
I missed that, how that went. Sorry.
We're doing good. We're doing good. Okay. Can I have a motion and a second for item 11, the policies?
Chris Jones will make the motion. John shares now.
Kathy Jo Minnick seconds.
Okay. In trying to simplify our lives in the future, doing this remotely the way we are, is there any objection to taking the first reads or bypassing the first read on A through G and just passing all these policies right now to be done with it? Otherwise, we have to revisit A through G again in the future. I guess is what I'm asking is, can we approve A through L right now? We have the authority to waive the first read. If there's an objection to this, please let me know. Otherwise, we will proceed that way.
Pat, can we do that?
Surely.
Okay.
Okay.
We're waiving that policy along with the other one. I'm just checking the agenda. Did we already waive the policy?
No, that one, they waived the policies at the end.
All right, we'll just add it to that, to do that, and go ahead and do it, yeah.
Okay.
Is this temporary or?
Yeah, this is just temporary for this time. Going forward, I don't want to do policies remotely unless we need to for an emergency or something. So if we have to meet remotely in the future, next month, there will not be any policies on it, just trying to simplify the agenda as much as possible.
Okay, I'm okay for it temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily, yes.
To go through all at one time if we have to do them.
Yep. Okay, then, so we had a motion and a second on the policies. If there's no objection, we will vote to approve them. Christine?
Mr. Westbrook,
Yes.
Mrs. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Chersnowski,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
and Mr. Steathers.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second for item 12, the curriculum and instruction items? I will.
So moved.
Second.
Was it Lonnie and Kathy Jo?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes, I was second. Kathy
okay.
Jones second.
So there's some amendments to this. Item C has been canceled, so that will be removed from the agenda. And items D and E want to table to a future meeting with the school calendar and everything in limbo right now. So the only things that we will be approving this evening are 12A and B. Is there any discussion or questions on either of those two items? We will vote to approve. When you're ready, Christine.
Mrs. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Chersnowski,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mr. Steathers,
Yes.
and Mr. Westbrook.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second for item 13, transportation? Can they hear me? Nope.
So moved. Lonnie, second.
Okay, Chuck and Lonnie. Any questions or discussions on this? Okay, we will vote to approve when you're ready, Christine.
Mr. Chersnowski,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mr. Steathers,
Yes.
Mr. Westbrook,
Yes.
and Mrs. Braun.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to bring item 14 to the table, please? A motion and a second?
Chris will make the motion.
Okay,
John will second.
John is second.
John Chersnowski.
Okay, there's an update on this. The Sunday facility use request is canceled due to our current situation. So we'll be only voting on B and C, which is the elevator repair, and then the an RFP to look at some pavement, right? Asphalt pavement repairs at some of our locations. Any questions, concerns about either of those?
Just a request for proposal for the asphalt, correct?
Correct. Any other questions? Okay, we'll vote to approve when you're ready, Christine.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mr. Steathers,
Yes.
Mr. Westbrook,
Yes.
Mrs. Braun,
Yes.
and Mr. Cheresnowski.
Yes.
Okay, item 15. Is there a motion and a second to bring that to the table, please?
So moved, Lisa.
Second, Kathy Joe.
Okay. This is a request for suspension of board policies. The memo that's written here is request to suspend temporarily provisions of any board policies that would prohibit conducting executive sessions or other matters that do not require public access by remote communication. Pat, you want to jump in and elaborate
Yes,
on this a little bit, if you would, please?
Yes, we have the right. We have a policy that says we're supposed to have so many members there. And so does the school code for a quorum. However, based on the emergency, it's pretty much agreed upon that we can waive our policies, and the state has waived the school code to allow for this. In addition, I would like to add to the motion that we would also amend the requirement of 2 readings to adopt board policies temporarily, just like we're doing this, so we can adopt them with 1 reading.
Okay, so noted in the record. Any board members have any questions or concerns about this?
Does that have to have an end date or of when that stops, Pat?
No, it's done temporarily, and we will clean it up later. Yes, our policy only gives us the authority to do this for 1 meeting at a time. So we'll be doing this at every meeting as we meet like this.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussions? We will vote to approve this then, when you're ready, Christine.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mr. Steathers,
Yes.
Mr. Westbrook,
Yes.
Mrs. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski,
Yes.
and Mr. Frisbee.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, traditionally, we would offer visitor comments on anything and everything. If you jump in quick on the chat or something, we'll listen, but we're gonna scoot right past this. Catch up with one of us or Craig. I guess this is for the general public, and we'll give you information if you need some. There are no, item 17, there are no board communications at this time. 18, there's no other board discussion items that I am aware of. Does anybody else have any questions? Yeah, Claire jumped in. I think this is great. It would be great if this was available at all times. Thank you. You can
I
answer
would
that.
like to congratulate the president and the superintendent for pulling this off tonight. This went a lot better than I think we all feared. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Claire, I think this is something that we can look into and make it a regular thing, at least for live streaming of our board meetings, if that will get more participation. And yes, I'm also eagerly waiting Deb Buck to ask the question.
I think the participants are up to 45. We rarely get that at a regular meeting.
I agree and understand. Yeah. So Deb Buck, yes, I appreciate the constant flow of communication to our families. Who's delivering takeout tomorrow? Oh,
Listen, Mrs. Buck, you let me know. I'll drop off whatever you like. And thank you for the positive comment.
Okay, so Deb Freeman wants to talk, or she has a question. How?
Oh, let her go. Yeah, I'm here, let her go.
Unmute myself. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ah, thank you very much. I really appreciate the links that the board and Mr. Stage has gone through to keep us informed and keep us in the loop. We really appreciate that. I know it's been really difficult for you guys as well, and everybody I've talked to is really appreciative of everything you've done so far. So we have your back, so to speak. We really do appreciate the work that you've gone to keep us paid and keep us informed. And these Zoom meetings, this is the second one I've done. I did one with Mr. Henning, or SRU did one with Mr. Henning earlier in the week. So, and that went really well. So kudos to everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Deb.
Thank you, Mrs. Freeman. We appreciate all your members are doing to help us, and appreciate the patience. Mrs. Claire, your question is, do we have any idea if we are going to attempt to get in 180 days? The guidance from the state is that these last 10 days do not need to be made up. There's no guarantee about the next break in time. So we'll work through it. I think it's a community choice. It's a local choice if the board chooses to do any changes to the calendar. I think the way the state's looking at it is whatever the local control wishes. We certainly have an obligation to educate our kids, but we certainly understand that there's an important aspect of taking a break and still trying to have time to have a summer before we get back to school. So we'll keep trying to communicate that throughout. What I can tell you now is no, these 10 days do not need to be made up. I can't speak on anything past March 27th. So we'll keep you informed and we'll keep moving forward.
Becky Thornton typed in, thank you for your leadership in this difficult time. All right. That didn't go too bad.
Kate Claire said thanks to everyone.
Yep.
Thank you, Mrs. Thornton, and thank you, Mrs. Claire. Very appreciated.
All right. Our next meetings, our future meetings, we have a work session scheduled on Tuesday, April 14th. I don't see how we can do a traditional work session in this format. It would be extremely difficult. We will leave it on the calendar, but anticipate it being canceled, delayed, postponed, whatever. We have a regular voting session scheduled for Tuesday, April 21st, down at the Career Center. Again, probably not going to happen in our traditional format. We will keep everybody informed as we go forward, and as the state lets us know when we're going back to school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as to what format we'll be using when and where. So we'll keep them on the books for now until further notice. Craig wants to say something quick.
Great. I do know that Governor Wolf has said that he'll be assessing our closures on a 2-week by 2-week basis. So if they're going to extend that closure, we would know sometime next week if that extension would happen. We were informed that it's going to be 2 weeks at a time.
So there is no executive session. Everybody, please be safe, be patient, help each other out. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Signing off.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ian.
Good night.
All right. Thank you.